all live in this universe, and universe is sum total of everything. All matter, all energy, planets, stars, cluster of stars, galaxies, cluster of galaxies, and supercluster of galaxies. And all energy, sound I am speaking, the light, heat, all forms of radiation. And all these forms of radiation have a common property. There is some pressure associated with them. For instance, in this room, heat is there, air has heat. And there is also air pressure, we know, and air pressure is positive. And all this light energy, there is also some hidden light pressure we cannot feel. Further, we all know Einstein's famous E is equal to mc square equation. Why this all energy has some mass equivalence. But that equivalence mass part is very, very negligible. That is why most of the cosmologists believed as late as 1997 that our universe in the present epoch is dominated by matter and energy contribution is negligible. But all this changed in the following year. 1998, they started telling, no, our universe is dominated by energy. And all this known matter and energy we know, that is only 30%, barely 30%. And 70% is some unknown energy, mysterious energy. And why is it mysterious? Because the pressure in this case is not positive, it is negative. And they termed it dark energy. But have we ever really measured this dark energy? No. Then why we had to postulate this dark energy? Well, for that, the story goes back to the Big Bang model. Sorry. The story goes back to the Big Bang model. So as per which our universe was born out of nothingness around 14 billion years ago. There was an infinitely powerful explosion in a single point mass. And out of that stars were formed, galaxies were formed, and galaxies have been receding ever since, like an inflated balloon. But again, this evidence for expanding universe is indirect, because we can never directly measure the speed of the receding galaxies. Then why we had to postulate things like that? Suppose there is an explosion. If explosion is there, the shrapnels slow down, they tire out. Similarly, for the universe, expanding universe, after the Big Bang, it was assumed that galaxies are slowing down, universe is decelerating. But 1998, we came to the conclusion, maybe galaxies are running faster and faster, that is, the universe is accelerating. But again, I told, we cannot measure any acceleration speed galaxies directly. So then how we came to this conclusion? So it is this thing, our universe. So there are some super powerful explosions in the universe. They are associated with the death of stars, and they are called supernovae. Many of you may have heard. In particular, there is one kind of supernovae called type 1a. They are the death or detonation of white dwarfs. And we think that they are of fixed energy, fixed brightness. So some explosion is taking place in a distant galaxy, and I am measuring it here. I know how much light I should receive here. But by 1997, astronomers concluded that we are receiving little less light. That means this supernova is further away than in a universe it was if it were decelerating. So it means it is further away, so universe must have accelerated away. That is the expanding, accelerating and expanding universe paradigm. And what causes this expansion, acceleration? What pushes the galaxy? Some unknown energy, and which has negative pressure. Now, because of this, in 2011, a physics Nobel was awarded to 3 American astrophysicists for the discovery of accelerated expansion and associated dark energy. Since then, thousands and thousands of papers have been written. Mathematicians are having a field day They are doing all kinds of fittings and new hypotheses. But really, we have not been wiser. It is confusion. It is acknowledged that we really do not understand dark energy. However, there is a common idea that this room, there is here light. If here light would not be there, it is vacuum. But at the microscopic level, vacuum is not pure nothingness. There are very subtle microscopic, some vibrations are there in the vacuum, and some elementary particles are popping up and annihilating each other out of this vibration. And they say that such properties endow the vacuum with some energy, that is dark energy. Okay, let it be so. But when we try to calculate this background energy, it turns out to be infinitely larger. So it is trillion, you have to say trillion 10 times larger than what is the estimated dark energy. So this hypothesis really falls flat. Yet, many astronomers try to hold back to on this hypothesis with another hypothesis. Now they say these vibrations, positive and negative, they are almost cancelling each other. And some little trace is left. But how much could be the trace? It could be 1%, 0.1%, 0.01%. No. It is just 1 part in trillion time, and that looks profoundly contrived. Most of the people do not know how this can happen. And there are other problems too. See, whether this dark energy, we are measuring something, and universe is evolving, whether dark energy is evolving, we do not know. And if it is evolving, so dark energy, I said 70%, and matter 30%. Why is it comparable to the matter? Why not much higher or much lower? Nobody knows. So many astronomers are challenging this dark energy hypothesis. So before that, we need to dig more into Big Bang Theory. So as per Big Bang Theory, our universe looks same everywhere and in any direction. And when we make this assumption, we can have simple equations for the evolution of the universe. And that looks very simple, almost like Newtonian gravity, whatever equations are there. And they say universe should slow down. We need to by hand add some negative pressure to make it accelerate. But is our universe like this? As I told, our universe is actually discrete and lumpy stars, star cluster, galaxies, and basic units are galaxies. They form galaxy clusters and superclusters. Ultimate structure is superclusters. And in between there are voids, irregular voids. And many cosmologists are telling when such an inhomogeneous structure expands, Big Bang equations are no longer valid. And to account for inhomogeneity, you have to add another term by hand. And it is that term which simulates the dark energy. That is, dark energy is an illusion due to inhomogeneity of the universe. Here is one paper, 2009 paper by George Ellis, who is a noted physicist. He is a conservative physicist. But even by his standard, this dark energy sounds quite absurd. He thinks it is related to the inhomogeneity. And he is not alone. There are papers by 12 authors in 2015. They are of the same opinion. Dark energy is an illusion and related to the inhomogeneity. But does it mean that this conundrum is over? Not at all. Not at all. There is another aspect to it. Suppose I told that universe is actually superclusters, they form kind of worlds. Here, gravitation is strong because more matter. Here, expansion will be slower. In between, there are voids are there. There is little matter. Gravity is weak. Expansion will be faster. So this adds to this confusion. And there have been papers claiming that dark energy may not exist. And from long back, people are telling that dark energy is an illusion. See, here is 2007 paper in the famous international journal New Scientist. Dark energy is an illusion. Here is, after 10 years, 2017 article, dark energy could be an illusion. But that does not mean the issue is settled at all. that does not mean issue settled at all. If 20 odd physicists are telling dark energy illusion, there are 2,000 physicists who stick to the mainstream view dark energy is real. And they want to overlook or undermine the so-called proofs offered by these 20 people. So we are in an intellectual cul-de-sac. We do not know what is real. And despite this, those who believe in dark energy, there is an idea that this dark energy could be some hypothetical constant introduced by Albert Einstein around 100 years ago in 1917. So Einstein considered a model which is static. Now, how can matter be static? So because of gravity, things should come down to a point. So Einstein assumed that there is some intrinsic repulsive property in the space, and that he called cosmological constant. And there is no explanation. But by 1930, people started believing that universe is expanding. Then Einstein abandoned this talk. So did most of the other physicists. And for 65 years, we have believed that cosmological constant is almost zero. And in 1998, this constant was resurrected in the form of dark energy. So if one has to really show that dark energy is non-existent, one has to show that cosmological constant is probably zero. Has anybody done this? No, nobody except this present speaker. 2011, my paper for the first time claimed to show that yes, dark energy is indeed zero, as was believed for 65 years. And that was not all. In the following year, this is scientific reports related to the nature. I gave generic reasons why dark energy must be zero, and it is in this context this term MITRA PARADOX has been used by some of them. In 2013, we had a paper, again from different perspective, we showed that dark energy should be zero. That's not all. Finally, 2013, we wrote a paper that again showing from a new perspective why dark energy should be exactly zero. Now, somebody is showing dark energy should be zero from fundamental perspective. That should have been big international news and it should have been highlighted. But it has not been done. Only some Indian reporters have taken it up. So this is the editor of Nature India. Nature India is a magazine which is run by Nature London, but it focuses on Indian science. So he wrote a piece that some Indian has been challenging these things. And that time he was the editor of Nature India, Dr. Jayaraman. So next year, he wanted to write another piece because in 2013 we had two papers, and one in Journal of Cosmology and Astrophysics, which is high impact, almost 6 impact, which is considered high impact. But now Nature India had a new editor, and she cannot trust that any research carried out in India can cast aspersion on something on which Nobel Prize has been awarded. Because I said in 2011, Nobel Prize, these 3 Americans got for the discovery of expanding, accelerating universe, dark energy. She would not publish it. And she quietly sent my manuscript paper to 3 Nobel laureates. This was the first instance. Some Indian paper was sent to Nobel laureates for criticism, but they could not do anything. On the other hand, what they did, they said, whatever data analysis we have done is correct, we stand by it. So the title here would have been that Indian research is actually contesting or challenging something about which Nobel Prize has been obtained. But that editor distorted it. And in 2016, a group of physicists from Oxford, they analyzed this way, how this data analysis was done. And they concluded that it was erroneous and accelerating universe hypothesis may be wrong. And this was led by one Indian physicist, again, Subir Sarkar. But even they did not cite mine. And this was noted by some of the Indian reporters that what these Oxford physicists are telling are actually corroborating whatever I have tried to show, that accelerating universe hypothesis may be wrong. So now my paper, it is very interesting. Of course, those who are believing in dark energy, they may not cite, you can understand. But those who are believing in dark energy, they are also not, who are contesting dark energy, they are also not citing. So this has to, I have worked actually in isolation, not tagged to any big group, influential group, either in India or abroad. and there are social and psychological issues for which these things can be done. So they may be thinking that if this is a big issue, why should we share credit with some unknown Indian? So we'll pocket the credit on our own. Despite that, there is a thinking dawning in that maybe we are living, as far as dark energy and dark matter, which I did not discuss here, we may be in an ether age. What is ether? I am talking to you, you are hearing me. The sound is propagating because air is there. If no air, there is no sound. Similarly, light has been propagating for 300 years. Physicists believe that light propagates through sun, light propagates through some mysterious dark material, which you cannot see, which you cannot feel. They called it ether for almost 300 years. And towards the end of the 19th century, dedicated experiments were carried out to detect this mysterious medium called ether. And there was no ether was found, and ether paradigm was overthrown. Even in 1905, Einstein formulated his special theory of relativity, which revolutionized physics. And he rejected, and that was done by rejecting the ether paradigm. And who believed in the ether paradigm? All leading physicists, including Sir Isaac Newton, who could be the best physicist ever. So even if many Nobel laureates are believing in some paradigm 20 years, 30 years, it does not mean it is correct. And maybe my 4 research papers have indeed popped the dark energy bubble, whether it is properly recognized or not. And we have reasons to believe. So dark energy is indeed an illusion. So it is an artifact of describing a very complex universe, lumpy discrete universe, by simple-minded Big Bang models.